Hey guys and girls, my name's Alan, and today I'll be doing my first impressions of the Division beta. This footage I'm gonna upload twice. Well, the thing is, I always usually record some gameplay and leave it so that I can do a commentary of it of my first impressions. But because I recorded all of this footage as live gameplay and I had voice chat, I didn't actually record a piece where I didn't record myself. Well, I didn't record myself talking, so I didn't actually have a piece of footage to do just the commentary over. So I'm going to be uploading this footage twice. The first version will have the live chat, so just me, talking as I'm playing, and then obviously this version where I am commentating over it, speaking about my first impressions, thoughts and opinions and so on. So I mean, I do apologise that you have to watch it twice, if you watch it twice. I will probably make this one public, and then the other one also public, but not like it won't appear in your sub box or anything, because I don't want to spam you with the same footage twice, because that's just silly. So yeah, so this one will appear in your sub box. The other one will not, but it's the same footage. However, the commentary is on this one, and the other one is live chat. So if you're confused about why I've uploaded the same footage, now you know. Right, so glad we got that one cleared up. So down to the gameplay. The gameplay is not actually that entertaining, I'm not gonna lie. This is taken from the Dark Zone, and I only played a short while in the Dark Zone, and I'll speak more about it in a minute. But it's just, yeah, it wasn't as entertaining as I thought it could be or would be. But as I said, we'll get to that in a second. So let's start off with the beta. So the beta's finished now. The Division will be coming out next month. Probably by the time this video's gone up, the game would have launched, if not already. Be very close to launch. So good things about the game. A lot of people talk about the graphics and how it's been downgraded since the original reveal, E3, however many years ago it was. Yeah, probably. But I mean, are any of us surprised, really? Footage for games that are showcased at those sort of events are always of a higher standard than what the final version is going to be. That just, goes without saying. But I think the game, it looks okay. I mean, it could be a bit sharper. For a next-gen game, it's not quite as mind-blowing as I thought it would be. But then again, it is an RPG open world, so if you compare it to other similar games, I mean, I don't know if it has the scope of other RPG games, but if you compare it to other RPG games, a similar sort of mold, then graphically it's probably, I'd say, the same, if not a little better. So yeah. Anyway, it's all about the gameplay for me. If it can look great, but if it plays terrible, then it's a terrible game. But if it looks not so great, but it plays amazing, then I can deal with that. That's not a problem. So for me, graphics, it looks okay. I love the weather changes in this game. It is so good. So you could be fighting a mission in the fog, you could be fighting a mission in the snow, it could be a little bit of, just a light dusting of snow, but it could be really heavy snow. I mean, you've got day-night changes as well. So I think the environmental change, especially if you're playing like with other players and you have to do like a mission or something, I think the difference in weather can obviously help or hinder, but mostly hinder, and that adds another dimension to the game, and it makes it a bit more challenging. Now, the reason why I mention that it can either help or hinder is because it only really affects you, the players. The AI is completely oblivious to the weather. It could be day, night, it could be blizzard, it could be clear. They'll spot you regardless of the situation, and that's the thing that really annoys me about this game, is that the AI is really it's inconsistent. You could be attacking them, say, one at a time using stealth, and they've got no line of sight. They shouldn't have heard the shot or anything, but as soon as you kill one enemy, everyone in that area knows that you're there. So what's the point in having stealth, apart from playing, say, multiplayer? Using stealth in offline single using stealth in the campaign just doesn't seem to work. You can sneak up on enemies and plan your approach and all that stuff, but as soon as you fire that single shot, silenced or whatever, even if you're in sight or out of sight, everyone knows, everyone gets pinged. So it's a bit frustrating that. So far I've only experienced, some of the weapons, ARs, SMGs, marksman rifles. Haven't really tried any. I don't think there's any proper sniper rifles in the beta. At least I didn't try any anyway. Didn't go out to trying the shotguns, but the way the game is, it's quite open, quite big. I don't know how good shotguns are going to fare, to be honest. And the same goes with SMGs. I did try using them, but most of my engagements were mid to long range. So I tried to use SMGs, but it just wasn't great. And either the SMG that I had was weak, or it just wasn't, right for the game. Which is what I feel anyway. What's good about this game in terms of weapons is that you can mod them. So when you loot stuff from killing enemies or crates or whatever, wherever you find the loot, or other players even, you can pick up things like attachments. So you can pick up silencers or recoil compensators, grips, sights, stock, that sort of thing. So you can really modify weapons, and I don't know, but I think they do actually have quite a significant effect on how a weapon performs. Which is good, because again, it makes you want to pick up these items, because obviously it's an RPG, it's a looting based sort of game. So obviously you want the loot to be worthwhile, otherwise, what's the point in playing? So you pick up these things, you modify your weapons. It's quite a straightforward process. Maybe a little bit time consuming depending on how much stuff you pick up, but I think that's a good aspect of the game, and I think that they've done that quite well so far. I mean, it's hard to say in a beta. Now, I've only played, well, obviously there's only 2 missions for the story, the campaign, and I think they were quite good. I think the campaign in this game has potential. If you play with other people, I imagine you'd have a lot more fun than if you played on your own, but you could play it on your own. I can see myself playing on my own if need be. The thing about the campaign is, I think it might be a bit short. I know it's only beta and you can't really say until the game comes out, but the way the game is structured is that you have to complete each of the wings of your base, and that's how you rebuild your base. And I don't know if there's any other stuff after that, but primarily that's your goal, is to rebuild your base, and you do that by completing the missions for each wing. So you've got the security wing, the medical wing, and the tech wing. Each wing has 10 separate missions. So I mean, just logically looking at that, there's 30 missions for this game, at least, or thereabouts, at least. And the first 2 missions, well, the first one was stupidly easy. The second one was, I mean, it was a bit more interesting and a bit harder, but it wasn't, it wasn't anything that taxing that you couldn't do. And so, if you consider that there's only 30 missions or thereabouts, I don't think the game's going to be that long, to be honest. I mean, the missions might be harder in terms of, there'll be tougher enemies to take out, so you might have to take a bit more time approaching a certain level or whatever. But I don't know how much variety there's going to be. Again, it's hard to say from just 2 missions, but I hope there's a lot of variety. I hope there's a lot of different, styles of play, because at the moment, from the beta, what I've witnessed, it's quite straightforward. You go through the level, you kill enemies, you either pick something up or you deliver something or whatever, and then that's it. That's pretty much the mission done. And to be honest, those are the side quests as well. You go somewhere, you investigate, you report back, or you kill a target or whatever. Mission done. So I hope there's a lot more variety than what we've seen so far. Otherwise, this game's going to be pretty boring. But yeah, apart from that, I think if you play co-op, it'll probably be a bit better than if you play on your own. But again, it's a game that you can play on your own if you want. Take your time, explore the city. I feel it could be a little bit lonely though if you play on your own, because the AI is, as I said, not great. The enemy AI is pretty stupid, and there's no logic to how they react, to be honest. Sometimes they'll rush you, sometimes they'll just stand in the open, sometimes they'll just stay in cover indefinitely, which I guess is better than them rushing you, but it's just, as I said, it's a bit inconsistent. What was I saying? I can't remember now. Anyway, so moving on from that. So the home hub is quite good. You see, I mean, obviously I've already mentioned the 3 wings, so each wing is different. You can explore the wings, and as you progress through the campaign, obviously I assume you'll make it look better, and it does look good anyway, so that's nice. Typical RPG style. There are vendors, so you can buy like stuff. Don't know yet how useful that is, because as I said, there's only so much you can try in the beta. But everything's obviously expensive, and money's not exactly easy to come by. So again, I'm not sure how that's going to work, and I don't know if it's better to just farm enemies than it is to try and save money and buy good weapons. Again, can't say, but that's pretty generic in terms of RPG games. So the other thing about this game is that you can also not what's the word I'm looking for? So you've got skills and you've got perks, and you've got, you know, perk trees and stuff like that. So you can sort of customize your character to a certain play style and equip yourself with certain power, not powers. What's the word I'm looking for? Abilities. There you are. So you can get yourself like well, in previous games I've used like the little launching grenade, and then you've got like the little turret, and then you've got like the radar ping and the healing and stuff like that. So there's quite a lot of things that you can you know, improve on your character wise, so you can really suit it to your playstyle. And if you play as a team, then obviously each of you can specialise in a certain thing and help each other out. And again, I think that's a really good aspect of this game, and I think they've done that quite well. But again, hard to say because it's only a beta. In terms of the good things, I think that's about it, to be honest. The rest of it is a bit of a grey area or not so clear cut. So I've already talked about the graphics, so I won't go about that anymore. I've already talked a little about the side quests and the missions, so I think, yeah, in summary, I think they're a little bit short, I think they're a little bit simple, and they need more variety if they're to be, you know, entertaining. But again, we'll see in due course. Now, the Dark Zone is the player versus player arena mode, or whatever, for the Division game. Now, it's not quite PvP, but it's not quite PvE either, so it's like playing a campaign, and there are enemies, so you can kill them, and you can still do your normal stuff like looting and missions and well, there's no missions, but you can do like side quests and stuff. But the only difference is when you run into other players who aren't in your party, you can either help each other out by taking on the enemies together, or you can turn on each other. Now, if you turn on each other, then obviously you can then loot the other person's stuff if they have any loot to take. Now, the thing I don't like about this PvP area is that I don't know, again, there's not much more variety than being in the normal campaign side of things. So you go into the PvP area, yes, potentially you could get better loot, but in order to get that loot, first you have to rank up again in order to take on other enemy players and then also other AI units. And I don't know if the rewards are worth it, to be honest. I mean, the first time you encounter enemy players, you sort of, well, other players, other real players, you sort of, you don't know whether to trust them or not trust them, and I guess that adds a little bit of intensity to the game. But then, if you roll in a big enough party, and I think I've mentioned this before, if you play with enough players, that part of the game doesn't become a threat anymore. So you're essentially just playing the campaign, but in a different area, where potentially someone could turn on you, but again, if you've got enough players on your side, that's not going to be a threat. And that makes it really sucky if you play on your own or in smaller groups. And I don't know how other players are going to behave when the game finally drops, but I can imagine there'll just be those massive parties of people who just stomp anyone who come in straight away. And I didn't see it. I didn't see instances of that happening when I was playing, but I can see it happening though. I can predict that it will happen, and I just don't know if there's enough reason for someone, say if they play on their own like myself maybe, I don't see enough reason for me to try and get better at that side of the game in order to progress within the Dark Zone. There's no need for me to do that if I don't want to. So I don't know, it's one of them things where you just have to wait and see how it goes. But from what I've played of the Dark Zone, it was kind of boring. Wasn't really interested in it at all, to be honest. I was only in there for about an hour, but after half an hour I was just running around with people and not really doing anything. It wasn't that entertaining. So I've already talked about the AI behaviour. Slightly, well, yeah, kind of not impressed with the AI behaviour at all in this game. As I said, the stealth mechanic doesn't work properly, and enemies and allies alike, AI-wise, they just sort of, they don't really interact with you. They just sort of do their own thing. Like, I remember this one mission where I went to save a couple of friendly soldiers from being attacked, and they just sort of didn't even acknowledge me. And even though I technically not cleared out all the enemies, it considered the mission to be completed, and they were congratulating each other and me on a victory when there were still enemies still there, and still shooting at us, and we were still shooting them. So yeah, I don't know if it's just the beta or not, but AI could be improved quite a bit in this game. And also, when you do engage with enemy AI and you've got friendly AI, they sort of don't even call them out. They don't behave, you know, in a way that you think they should behave. So obviously they're taking damage, you think they take cover and stuff like that, but sometimes they'll just stay in the open, and it's a bit stupid. And they'll frequently run across your line of fire, but I mean, I guess you could say that most games have that problem. One of the things that I didn't like about the game is that you kind of have to walk everywhere. There is a fast travel option, but you can only fast travel to certain places, and so the rest of the time you just need to traverse the map by foot, and that can take a bit of time. I'm not gonna lie to you, and especially, you know, when the map is, I don't know how big the final map's gonna be, but even in the beta alone, you had to walk from one side to the next, and sometimes that could take a pretty long time. So I hope there's a few more fast travel points that you can use in the final game. Now the final thing about I guess the mechanics, if you want to call it that, the button layout of the controller. I don't know where they got the inspiration from, but I'm getting a sort of Mass Effect vibe from it, and I thought the Mass Effect button layout was shit, quite frankly. I could use it, but it definitely wasn't the best it could be, and I don't think that the button layout in the Division is great either. So I'm hoping either they switch it up or they allow us to remap the buttons, because it's you have to jump using, circle, and then you crouch using, not crouch, you roll using X and stuff, and it's complete opposite of what I mean. I play a lot of COD and things like that, and Battlefield, and it's always been X to jump, circle to dodge or whatever, but here it's like the opposite, and it's just weird. But at least they've got the weapon swapping right, so it's a single tap triangle to swap weapons, and then double tap triangle to switch to your secondary, so a pistol, that's fine. I think I've played that in other Tom Clancy games, and that works quite well in this one, so that's no problem with that. And the abilities and stuff like that, those are mapped fine as well. Using the nades, a little bit weird for the first time, but again that works fine once you get it down pat. It's just the X and the circle buttons, they need to be sorted out. Okay. Speaking of weapons, the loot system I've already talked about. So you just obviously farm enemies, or you find stuff. But the thing I don't like about the loot system in this game is that there's no individual loot drops. So if you all collectively as a team take out an enemy and they drop one single item, it's literally the first person there gets it, or you have to decide amongst yourselves who gets it. Which, not a fan of that system. I know it's the type of game where it doesn't make sense for everyone to get like a ton of loot from a single enemy, but I just feel like in this day and age everyone should get their own single loot drop, and I feel, especially in this game, that it needs some sort of a trade system or a swap system, or even a selling system, whereby you can interact with other players and either, you know, swap gear with them, or sell gear to them, or buy gear from them, because at the moment you literally either you have to get there first, or you know, you just have to farm individually. And I think that for a game which is quite, you know, emphasised on co-op play and stuff like that, I don't really understand the logic behind that. But again, we'll see. We don't know if they're going to make any more changes when the game comes out, or if they're just going to leave it as is. And that's about it, I think. Not sure if I've missed anything. Well, there's always one or two things that I always don't think about until after I've finished recording the video and uploaded it, but that'll do for now. I think I've spoke for quite long enough. So yeah, in summary, I don't know if I'll be getting this game. Definitely not pre-ordering. If I do get the game, it'll be because of the single player or because of the campaign side of things. Definitely not because of the multiplayer, which I thought was quite boring. I do have a friend who wants to play it, so if I do get it, obviously I'll be playing it co-op. But I think it's going to be dependent on what the reviews say and what the general consensus is on the campaign and the campaign and single player missions and stuff like that. And I won't be getting it for the multiplayer because, as I said, I didn't really find it that entertaining at all. Yeah, so I don't know. I'll have to wait and see how I feel. If I don't get it, then obviously this will be the last Division beta. Well, it's definitely the last Division beta video I do, but it may be the last Division beta. Bloody hell. it may be the last Division gameplay video that I do, at least for the foreseeable future anyway, so I'll have to just wait and see. And I think that about wraps it up. So thanks for watching. Consider tapping that like button if you enjoyed the commentary. I know the gameplay wasn't that great, so I won't ask you to like that. And until the next time, whatever that might be, whether it's this or probably some Call of Duty. Actually, I haven't done any Call of Duty in a long time, so it'll probably be some of that. So yeah, thanks for watching, and until next time, take care, and I'll see you later.